Hi, teachers. So I have Zoom up right here, and I wanted to talk about how you moderate your students in different ways. So this kind of ties into classroom management and different choices you can make there. But I wanted to make sure you guys knew all of the tools that you have available to make your Zoom class go as smoothly as possible. So the first thing I want to talk about is the entrance of your students. So when you set up your Zoom meeting, you can set up a couple of things. One, you can allow participants to mute or unmute themselves. You can allow them to rename and allow them or not allow them to start their video. And so what I would recommend is to have all students mute upon entry so they're not coming in screaming with people in the background. And I always turn off that join and leave sound because that's a lot of joining and leaving sounds. Um, Waiting room is always a great tool to have. Um, I know that Lacey in kindergarten uses the waiting room when students do not follow their expectations. She sends them to the waiting room for a few minutes, probably like 30 seconds, I don't know, just to chill, and then she lets them back in. So that could be a management strategy there. Um, so students are allowed to unmute themselves if with this setting on, but you can undo that. And if you mute the student, they cannot unmute unless you do it. That's a training thing for you, though. That's something you can set up. Definitely, you want them to have their names be their names in Zoom. So that's always a good thing. And then always have their videos turned on. So those are the starting things that you can have there. This is a really beautiful button. It's the mute all button. And so if you would like, you can just click that. Like if you're teaching and you hear a sound in the background, just click mute all. You don't have to scroll through to see who's talking. You can just mute all. And then there's a couple of things that if you have participants raise their hand, they'll raise their hand. It shows up in their little thing, but it also shows up in the order that they raise their hand in the participants. So that's what participants looks like. Um, and then if you hover over a participant, you can ask them to unmute. So if you're like, Joe, where are you? You can ask them to unmute and a button will show to help them. And it'll also show, and you can also there's also a little button that says lower hand. So you can lower their hand if you have a bunch of hand raised and you want to move on to the next question. So these are just all virtual tools that the same thing that you would do in person, um, but just a virtual thing. So yeah, that is how you can moderate and manage your participants in a Zoom class.